Welcome back, everyone, to more NASCAR Racing 2003 season content here at Nitpick Gaming. Today's video, I have a couple of items on the agenda. First and foremost, I want to give you guys an update on where we are in the status of BR 2019. I want to talk a little bit about where we are right now, where it's going in the near future, meaning for the next week or two, more than likely. And then I want to end the video with some gameplay, going back to Atlanta for some more gameplay. This time we're going to be in the cockpit view because I want you guys to be able to hear a little bit better the on and off throttle time and how that changes throughout a run. So the gameplay is actually going to be short. I'm going to pick one of the laps under fresh tire conditions where you can hear the on throttle time, and then I'm going to do another couple of laps as the fuel run and the tire run progresses, and then finally I will end with what is it like, how do the cars handle, and how much time are you off the throttle when the tires are completely shot and you are basically ready for a pit stop any lap now. So very excited about that. Let's go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about where we are with BR 2019. I'll start by letting you guys know that the response I've gotten as far as emails wanting to be involved in the testing hasn't been all that great. Now, that's really not a big deal and kind of expected, but I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to send those emails to me about being involved in the testing. If you're not familiar, this is your first video in the series about BR 2019 that you're seeing, then go back and watch the very first one where I introduce the mod, tell you a little bit about what I'm hoping to accomplish with the mod, as well as how you can be involved with being a tester if you so choose. So go back and watch that one if you haven't already. That'll give you an idea of what I'm referring to now. But really what that means is for right now, I'm not going to be taking on any new testers. I'm going to continue work 100% really unabated by any changes, regardless of how much support or how little support the mod receives. Ultimately, as I mentioned in the first video, this mod is all about increasing the amount of fun that I have. So even if nobody else cared anything about the mod, I would still work just as hard for that very reason. It means a lot to me. For those of you who have been with me since 2003, 2004, you guys know that I put hundreds of hours into the BR 2004 mod that never got to see the light of day. And who knows, maybe that's where we'll be at the end of this one, but hopefully we won't be met with the same, let's say, roadblocks that we had back then. Let's hope for a little bit different environment this time around. So let's talk a little bit about where we are right now. I've actually got about 4 to 5 tracks that I've been spending time on. Both of the restrictor plate tracks, Daytona and Talladega. And then I've got 3 speedways that I've been working with because they're all a little bit different in what I want to accomplish there. We've got Atlanta, California, and Vegas. Atlanta and Vegas, both 1.5 miles, but they race very differently, at least the way I am going to look at these. Atlanta has no grip, so it's all about tire wear. It's all about slipping and sliding and getting the car to handle over the course of a long run. Vegas, a little bit different, a little bit more grip, a little bit less tire wear fall off, means some different style of racing. And I'm really going to see how those two play out with the AI and the way the cars handle and drive and so on. And then we go to California, which is the first of the bigger tracks, at least non-restrictor plate tracks, and getting an idea there. It's going to be closer to Atlanta, very little of any grip there, a lot of tire wear, slipping and sliding, and so on. And I want to see how the package holds up that I have so far at that track. And then later on, I'll be adding in other tracks, Michigan, and Kansas, all sorts of tracks that I want to get to. But for right now, I've been focusing basically on those tracks as well as Daytona and Talladega. I'm very pleased with where things are. I have run, I don't even know how many different races and laps. Love doing fuel runs and tire runs and trying to dial in the AI to act as closely to the player car as I possibly can. And all that, quite frankly, has been extremely enjoyable, to the point where sometimes I forget that it's not really a race that I'm running. It's actually a test session. So, and that's a very good problem to have. I can tell you that for sure. Now, one thing that I have started to do, as I mentioned early on, this is not going to be an exact recreation of what we see on the track in 2019, as I'm not a huge fan of all parts of this package. So I'm going to have to pick and choose really where I want to go with this. And for that reason, right now I have two sets of physics that I'm working with, the Cup as well as the Grand National or Xfinity type physics. Right now, both of these, my idea is that they're going to be nearly identical. I don't want there to be a huge variation between the two, but what I'm going to do with one of them is I'm going to try to keep it as close as I can to what we see in real life in 2019, and the other one are going to be my tweaks, things that I don't necessarily like about what we're seeing in real life that I want to improve on. Again, the goal is not to have these be vastly different, but rather very much the same in most respects, with a few tweaks here and there for my own personal enjoyment. So right now I have two mods up and going. I've got the Cup, and then I've also got the Xfinity Series mod, which I'm using for the second set of physics. So that keeps things simple for me and also enhances the fun, because that's a little bit more data that I can work with and ultimately try to decide which direction I want to go. This upcoming weekend at Atlanta will be our first opportunity to really see this 2019 package in action. I know they've been doing some testing over the winter, but as far as I'm concerned, those are just half data. You don't really find out what these guys have until there's money, a trophy, and points on the line. Then you're going to find out their best equipment, their best engines, their best chassis, and the driver is really going to be on it because they know there's a trophy at stake. So this is going to be our first opportunity this weekend to find out exactly what that entails. So very excited about that. Of course, the package they're using at Atlanta isn't exactly the same package they're going to use at all of the 1.5 and 2 mile type tracks for the rest of the year. But that's not such a huge deal to me, because it's going to be the first set of data we're going to get, really competitive data that we're going to get so far in 2019. So with that in mind, hopefully that answers a lot of the questions that might be lingering after the very first video in this series about 2019. And now, let's go on to the gameplay.